Hey everyone, welcome back to the Vintage Super League. I'm Luis Scott Vargas here with Tom Martell. I wore my Magic the Gathering t-shirt here to cast Vintage Super League. I think it has an Eldrazi on it or something. I don't know.
Very
I
big.
got it. I got it at Worlds. I have no idea what it is. In any case, we just saw a pretty interesting match. I don't know what's going on with Dredge in this league. You play Dredge against a deck with 0 hate cards and you lose every match. You play Dredge against a deck with 9 hate cards, and you somehow win this like a long, complicated game. So I really don't get it.
Yeah, that was a really interesting game. There's a lot of decision points there that could have gone either direction. Yeah, I don't know. This has been a weird league for Dredge.
Yeah, it feels like it wins when it shouldn't and loses when it shouldn't, but which has left it in a bad spot because it feels like most of its matchups are good and it just loses all of them.
Yeah, that was basically my experience. I mean, I played it twice or maybe 3 times, twice I think, and yeah, just kept losing spots I thought looked good, and I don't know, it's run pretty bad.
Yeah,
pretty good there though.
It did. That was an interesting game. I was watching it and it felt like that game was maybe winnable from both sides, but going to be difficult on either side. So because there's some games of Magic you watch or play where you're like, man, I would have won this from the other side, or I would have lost this from the other side, or whatever. And that's one of those games where I don't know who like should have won it if both players played it exactly the way they should have, and I don't know what all the different lines were. There's just a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of spots where you don't even know for sure what the right plays were. I mean, there are just so many decision points in that game that I think it was definitely interesting. And who knows, with Game 3 optimal play, who should win that one? I think the way it played out, I think, kind of Rich had the game, but he had to find a pretty specific line, and he misstepped a couple times, and it just didn't work out for him, which is too bad for me. I was really rooting for him there.
Yeah, I guess it's better for me if Rich loses, presumably. Yeah, I think so. Because if I win, now I'll have the same record as Rich, which means I could pass him in the last week.
Yep.
Whereas everyone in the league wants Webb to win now. Webb's uncatchable and just vacuuming wings out of the system. So you should be rooting for Webb whether you want to make top 4 or not get last.
I was rooting for him today. I will be rooting for him next week. Definitely going to be pulling for him here.
Yeah.
Pull up the schedule now to see who he plays next week, so I know who I'm rooting against.
I'm not 100% sure, but I think who are you playing this week?
I play Efro with the 75 mirror we played last week, where I think I'm definitely a dog.
We built the deck to beat workshops. And I got crushed. I think I could have won game 1 clearly, but even if I had won game 1, I would have had to win at least a game on the draw here. So.
Yep. I think this is the thing I've noticed in this league is all the decks that are supposed to beat workshops keep losing to workshops. So it's just kind of interesting that, and there I think it just almost
almost like workshops is just the best deck.
Yeah, but who thought? No. So is Ocho X and 1?
Yeah, Ocho is like 7 and 1 now or something.
I mean, whoever beat it must be really good at Magic.
I don't know if I would go that far, but you guys did have an interesting match. You managed to beat Webb in a matchup you were probably 20% to win or something.
That was absurd. I played that Storm List all 3 weeks, and all 3 weeks I think I was basically was definitively winning in all of the games, and I agree with you. I'm 20% in that matchup. That matchup was so bad. Yeah. But I think 1-2 is still probably running slightly above expectation for me from that trimester, so I'll take it.
Speaking of trimesters, I have to give a shout out to Paul Chion, who's watching from the hospital while his wife gives birth to a second child. So that's dedication. Kyle Jr., I believe, is the name. So
do we have a preview of the Chion power rankings yet? Early look.
I don't think we do, but we can look at the deck list for our next match here. We've got a Bob Maher against Kai Budde here.
Paul Cash just hanging out in the chat now.
Yeah. So Kai does not think this matchup is good for him, by the way. So Bob is playing Storm with a lot of discard here, and he's playing against Kai, who's playing an Oath combo deck. So Bob is, running a similar storm list to what we've seen before. It's got the 3 main deck defense grids, so it's going pretty hard against counter spells. I'm glad I don't have to play against him here. And, the 4 duresses and the 2 thought seizes, so a pretty good amount of discard as well. Bob's list is really high on disruption. He has 9 disruption spells if you count all the discard plus the defense grid here.
Yeah, that's pretty aggressive for these storm lists, right? I guess it's 2 or 3 more than normal.
Yeah. Also, Bob has 3 pulverize in the sideboard, so he's coming gunning for workshops with. I'm not 100% sure. I guess he's got 2 mountains also on the sideboard. That's a cool combo. I would like to see how that works out.
It seems kind of dodgy, right? I mean, you've 2 mountains and 1 volcanic island, especially now in a world where all these shop splits are starting to play like multiple ghost quarters, so they can just like take you off of even a basic mountain now. It's I'm not sure how reliably you can stick this pulverize with just 3 mountains in your deck. Oh, I guess he has a bad land too, so he has 4 in his 75.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, looks like the players are ready, so let's head down to the match. All right, welcome to another match here, the Vintage Super League. We've got a pair of Hall of Famers here with Bob Maher on the bottom on Storm, and then Kai looking to right the ship here. He's 2 and 5, whereas Bob is one of the rare 3 and 4 players. So
let's go, Bob. Let's go, Bob.
Tom has no rooting interest here at all.
None whatsoever.
Kai's hand is actually pretty good against Storm in the sense that it's got Flusterstorm and Mental Misstep, and he's got Ancient Grudge, which is surprisingly good against a deck that's got 3 main deck defense grids.
You see the Bob with 2 duresses here. He'll pick this hand apart and can set himself up pretty nicely. He doesn't have any business yet. And, obviously, if the Tendrils was something with an action spell, his hand would be great.
Yeah, it is. This is a very disruptive hand, and it is going to be okay. Though if Kai draws Oath, Kai can just go Trop, go Flusterstorm your duress, and then play an Oath.
All right, he gets to see what he's working up with here. This is a good draw for Kai.
Gitaxian Probe, if you can afford putting him in your deck, it's a pretty nice card. It does let you kind of formulate your game plan, and like for example, now Kai knows that he can just cast Ponder here. He might have left up Flusterstorm otherwise, but I think against this hand, all Flusterstorm does is counter duress, but I would much rather just try to Ponder and put an Oath on top of my deck.
I agree completely. I definitely like just pondering here once you see what you're up against.
Because you don't care if Kai takes the Flusterstorm, then that's just the same as you casting it, except you saved a mana because you cast Ponder. And if he takes either of your flashback cards, obviously that's fine too.
Yeah, obviously the worst case if you have to shuffle and then you draw some action, but then that's better than drawing a dead card next turn. I mean, it's not a reason not to play this Ponder here. I think definitely Ponder's the line.
Agreed.
And Kai agrees with us. Vampiric Tutor, a Mental Misstep, and something snatched away there.
I don't love Vamp because you have to wait an extra turn to get whatever it is you're looking for. So it's kind of unfortunate.
Yeah, but he knows that Bob's hand isn't doing anything, and how many action spells does Bob have with this hand? So he doesn't even have that much mana, right? He can go. So he goes like next turn he plays Emerald Academy. So he has 3, 4, 5 mana. I
guess Kai can keep Misstep and then Misstep the Duress, and then actually no, this is good. You're right. Kai Bob just doesn't have that much because you get to go Misstep Duress, untap, play a land, leave Vamp plus Fluster up, and then play Oath. So Bob needs to draw something good in the next 2 turns. Yeah, this seems fine. I don't love Vamp, on turn 2 or 3 all that often, but this is okay. Time Walk wasn't bad.
That's a good draw. I think it lets him just develop his mana and just try to get some resources into play here. I mean, if learn anything from the way the league plays out, is the Storm deck almost always draws the perfect card. So I think what is the best card for draw after this Time Walk?
Basically, the Storm deck and the Landstill deck are the ones that really top deck well. I'm hoping, but Yeah, just duress, gonna get misstepped, and then time walk. And let's see, Bob would have 3, 4. Yeah, so unfortunately for Bob, he doesn't actually have that many great draws. Like Dark Petition doesn't do it. Time Twister does. Necro's great.
Necro's great, right? That's his best draw.
Yeah,
it's 5 mana if he needs it.
Demonic Tutor isn't even that great, right? It's just, yeah, it really isn't. So.
Yeah, DT does nothing. He only has the 3 black.
He just gets to Ancestral, I guess.
And so maybe like me. Oh, okay.
It was close. Your theory almost held true, but the
we get Necro to play, right?
No, because Bob only gets up to 4 mana with the Cabal Ritual there. So.
Oh, it's only +1, right? That's right. It's not +2.
Yeah.
Excellent point. Yeah, math is hard.
Yeah. Otherwise, Dark Petition would have been a great draw, but now Kai. I think Kai is in a pretty commanding position. Because Bob has to just pass here. He just has no plays. And, oh, Kai shuffled then. Oh, no, wait.
No, we didn't see the 3rd card. The Vampiric must be the 3rd card down.
But why would you keep Vampiric as 3rd? Instead of drawing it this turn? Like, you would want to draw it.
He did know Bob's hand, so maybe he thought, like, the misstep buys him an untap, and now he can just do everything protected by force on the journey.
He knew.
Oh, he knew the hand. Yeah, this is really bizarre.
I guess if his plan was to grudge to take Bob off of Mox, then this is better. This makes sense because he knows Bob is Mana Light. He knows 2 of
double Stone Rain
cards. This is a double Stone Rain because it takes out the Academy, and then Kai draws Vamp next turn and does the same thing.
Yep. I like this actually.
Do you think that the Oath deck gets worse now that the Spirit tokens have flying, or is that not relevant?
Wait, what? Wow.
So then, of course, Bob can't play the Mox Sapphire there because of that Ancient Grudge lurking. All right, Kai's actually played this quite well. I like that play a lot. I was initially thrown by the Force of Will, but given that that's the 3rd card, this actually makes perfect sense. So now Bob
probably to go for it.
I mean, what else could he do?
Bob knows the Flusterstorm.
He doesn't know Kai's hand, right? Because Kai countered all the duresses. So
we ripped both of them misstepped, yeah. So he's definitely going to go for it here. Even if he knew about it, he would still go for it because the Flusterstorm has to happen on the petition. He doesn't know that he has the sandbagging the Force of Will for the Necro itself.
Yeah.
So he's got that out of his hand.
I think if Bob just goes for it here, I think that's going to be better. Like, yes, you get wrecked by a lot of combos, but what?
It's not getting better.
Yeah, like I don't know. I guess Bob has 3 defense grids, but Kai still has an Ancient Grudge kind of chilling down there. Well, so now next turn, Kai's going to play the Oath, and then Bob's going to be forced to go for it. But Oath with Flusterstorm plus Force plus blue card out is going to be slightly difficult to maneuver past. Kai was not optimistic about this matchup, but I think he's going to win this game.
Darn. So I guess we're ready for Kai to have his bottom 2 cards be the 2 Crystal Brands, and he has to pitch this Memory Journey to the Force of Will somehow.
It depends what you're going for.
I'm live. I'm live here.
What if I want Kai to win? What?
Then you're just not a very good friend, Luis. Come on.
To who? I'm friends with all 3 people involved here. Oh, the chat has a good point. Why is Orchard Spirit a 2/2 if spirits produced by Forbidden Orchard are 1/1s? That's a flavor inconsistency. The card Orchard Spirit is a 2/2.
Oh, you're right. Interesting. It can only be blocked by flyers.
Yeah, which I guess these tokens can now block. It's all part of a perfect circle. So Bob is now facing down Flusterstorm Force. This is where I'd be looking at something like Mind's Desire here, but I think that Kai is gonna. Well, he might not counter Cabal Ritual. He might try to wait one more spell. So there's a chance. The problem is Bob would have needed to draw like something like Black Lotus plus Mind's Desire to really get past all this counter magic.
Yeah. If he desires into like the 3 perfect cards, so that all 3 of them need to get countered, maybe.
Well, Bob has actually. I was just checking. It does not actually play the card Mind's Desire.
Okay.
I do love that card against counterspells, but if you don't think that counterspells are a big deal, then you can go ahead and leave Desire out of your deck. Flusterstorm, yes. I guess Heathrow has a point. Flusterstorm is also pretty good against Mind's Desire.
Well, not now. Now Bob has infinite mana.
True. So you tap Academy to play Mana Vault. You play Mox. You cast Cabal Ritual. Actually, Bob, depending on how things shake out, could become pretty close to a Tendrils, except for that Flusterstorm. The Flusterstorm can, even if it doesn't stop every Tendrils, can stop enough of them, probably.
Yep. I think also, I mean, you know 2 of the 3 cards in Bob's hand here as Kai's. I think you actually use count as Cabal Ritual.
You know...
he knows the Ritual
about the
and the Tendrils. So like, what third card do you get punished by if he has no black mana here? Unless the Tendrils is enough. So it's a 2, so Ritual would be 3, counter would be 4. A second, so if his hand is...
Lotus Tendrils?
Lotus. It's lethal.
Well, you could Force of Will the... Well, no matter which counter you use, you could then... Like, if you Force of Will, then you could have Flusterstorm up for the Tendrils.
Right, okay, so it still won't be lethal.
Also, you can't Fluster this, right? It's the storm count of 3. There'll be 4 Flusterstorms. I guess you could leave Bob at just exactly 3 black mana. Yeah, there are a couple options here for sure.
I like Force Willing here.
It feels like less is likely to go wrong. Plus, I also don't want to see Bob having to line up all his Flusterstorms against Tendrils. Because that's always a little dicey.
So, like, if he had Lotus, he'd be able to go... This gets countered, he plays Lotus, he'd have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 mana. No, it would actually be lethal. You could pay for 5 Flusterstorms. If that Dark Magician was Lotus, this would be lethal, right?
Yeah, I like forcing this though.
I agree with it, but specifically if Bob had top deck Lotus, he would be dead. But we know that Bob did not top deck Lotus.
So Kai now looking to hit Void Winnower, I guess is the creature of choice here. There's also a Gristlebrand, but given that Kai's at 9 and facing down potentially a Tendrils, he actually really wants to hit Void Winnower.
Vintage Powerhouse Void Winnower.
Well, it's a powerful card once you have it in play, and Vintage is kind of filled with ways to get creatures into play without casting them.
He hits it. That's a big one. And he puts 2 grudges in the graveyard, so he can just grudge this Mox. Oh, he had the 1 anyway. Now I can grudge both things, put Bob back down to 2 mana.
Kai has 3 Ancient Grudges in his main deck?
Apparently.
Dear God.
He did not want to lose to Shops.
Hey, I can sympathize with him. I've lost to Shops 3 times. Those are my only losses. I've lost to every single Shops deck I've played. Even with decks that are all specifically built to beat Shops.
Yeah, that's my Vintage League career. I'm not sure if I've ever really beaten Shops.
Yeah, I mean...
Over all the seasons, its win rate is pretty absurd.
Yeah. It's an obscenely good deck. So Grudge is going to keep Bob off of a decent amount of mana here. You could actually flash it back on the Mana Vault.
Yeah, I would definitely do that. There's no reason not to.
Yeah, you still can't pay... I guess Bob can't even cast Defense Grid, so Bob needs to, like... Does he even have a Chain of Vapor in his main deck? Because Chris did. He won a key game off of that. Bob doesn't. So Bob has no way to remove Void Winnower from play. Yeah,
well, he has this 1/1 flyer though that gets to fly over.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna quite work.
So does the token not actually fly? It just says flying on the picture?
I believe so, yes. It's just a display bug. I haven't actually played against Orchard, though. I guess I am tonight. Steve Menendian is playing a Gristlebrand, Dark Petition, Storm, Oath deck, so I will presumably, well, hopefully not see Orchard tokens, but there's a good chance I do. Huh. I don't know if I like casting Grudge now. You take 1 less damage from a Spirit, but you do up the Storm count. So I guess that is about the same. Either the tendrils hits for 2 more, the spirit hits for 1, and either way you're dead to the same number of tendrils. Like you either give him an extra 1 or you end up taking 1 gun and 8. He needs 1 less. So
right.
See what Bob is up to here.
1. So his hand hasn't caught up yet to the game statement what he drew.
Right.
What costs 2 mana? Defense grid?
You can't play anything that costs 2 mana, so...
Oh, right. So he'll be untapping momentarily.
I would assume so.
Void Winter is a cute card for this.
Yeah, it's something. It doesn't seem half bad in that the decks that you lose to the most after resolving an oath are the storm decks, I believe, because sometimes you can hit Gristlebrand and then just lose on their turn still, and Void Winter does stop that completely. But I guess like even if they have like Monastery Mentor type deck, like the tokens can't block. Yeah, Void Winter sounds like it's decent. But we still don't know what's in Bob's hand. Are the hand cams frozen or something?
He's a 2-mana spell he's trying to cast, so there aren't very many of those in his deck. It could be the Ball Ritual. Oh, you have to flip it to blue. It has to be...
Bob, looking at the main deck, I don't think Bob can win this. I mean,
I agree.
Kai just has to, like, not oath so that he doesn't deck himself. Yeah. So it looks like Bob is going to concede.
I do wonder, I mean, so... Yeah, this main deck, he has no outs there. I'm trying to think if there's like any reason to play on. Yeah, I think... I mean, you could say go to see if Kai oaths.
Yeah, Kai might oath, and Gristlebrand could be the bottom or second to the last card, but other than that, I don't think it sounds great. So
let's look at sideboards here. So
Bob gets Sadistic Sacrament. That's a card.
Thoughtseize probably comes in as well.
Yeah, Hurkyl's Recall. Not really what you're looking for.
No, I think it's just going to be the Sacrament of the Thoughtseize, right? Maybe probably Chain of Vapor.
Yeah, Chain of Vapor against Void Winter seems like it's legit. What does Kai have?
Probably the more interesting sideboard. What if Bob takes out? Boarding out with this deck is always the hard part for me.
You might want to actually shave some numbers of defense grids, even against counterspells. You're playing against a deck with lots of Ancient Grudges. Yeah. So Kai gets Mental Missteps and Mindbreak Traps, which, again, reasonable. Both of these decks aren't going to change that much post-board. Kai doesn't have any...
Duress, too.
Yeah, nice. I guess the Duress is also... Like, neither of them have specific hate. Like, Mindbreak is as close as it gets, but even that is just a counterspell, which is not always that great against Storm. Right. And it's not like Bob is boarding in, like, any specific anti-oath cards, so...
Yeah, you have to board out a couple of, like, back fade-ins, which are pretty slow in this matchup, probably.
Yeah. Back fade not as best. And Steel Sabotage, like, yeah, Kai was really gunning for shops here. I think you can take out Steel Sabotage. You can probably cut the number of grudges, too.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But...
I guess if you know that Kai's bringing in 4 more counterspells, maybe you probably leave in all of the
hand disruption?
All the defense grids.
Oh. Yeah. I just hate getting a defense grid Ancient Grudged. Like, you kind of want to draw one grid. If you draw one grid and you force him to have Grudge, that's not too bad. But if you draw 2 grids and then you end up you end up getting them Grudge, that's pretty bad. So, it's kind of interesting that both of these players are playing, pretty like dedicated combo decks. Oath is Oath is certainly a combo deck, and Storm is obviously a combo deck. But neither of their opponents has these like specific anti-combo hate cards, so they're both going to be pretty close to kind of just playing their normal game with their opponent having a little bit of extra disruption.
Yeah, but I mean, like the Storm deck's built with certainly more hateful decks in mind, so I think it certainly should be favored here. Although as you saw that game, you can brick a little bit, and if Kai draws multiple interactive spells, it could be hard to go off in time.
Yeah. The Oath decks kind of have a strategic disadvantage where they're just a turn slower than the Storm decks because they have to resolve Oath and then wait a turn to Oath. But on the plus side, they just need one card. So if both players are duressing a bunch, there's not that many one cards that Storm can draw. Of course, this new Storm deck, the fact that it has 4 Dark Petitions that get Necro, make it a lot more resilient in that sort of battle.
Yep. That's definitely true.
So these are the rankings. I think these are from last week, actually. These are from before this week.
This is correct as of the start of today.
Right, Webb just hadn't played his last match.
Right. So what we saw, advanced to 6-1. Bob fell to 3-4 to join myself and Chris at 3-4. I don't know. It's also interesting because no one at the bottom is playing against each other this week or next week, so you can no one's locked to be X6 at best. So you could have all 3 of those guys end up at. We already saw Randy win, right? So Randy's at 3-5.
Right.
Kai up a game here. Kai at 3-5.
And Steve's undoubtedly going to defeat me, so he'll be 3-5.
That would make me really sad, Louise. Come on.
I guess you're rooting for me in every match that doesn't involve you playing me.
Correct.
So,
even then, honestly, I'm sort of.
I can't ask for more than that. Come on. And then we're gonna see Chris and Webb. Webb is just on a 1 week delay. We're gonna see Chris and Webb play next week, I believe.
Yep.
So.
Chris had some travel challenges. All right, now we have begun the sideboarding. At least from Kai's perspective, Bob is hiding his secrets from us in case Kai's ghosting.
I think that's smart of Bob. Kai's probably not ghosting, but there's no reason to take the risk.
They say if Kai is ghosting, his record is really embarrassing.
Yes, and the good thing is he can't hear that until he watches the replay. In which case, then he will.
Or if he right now we're going to find out. If he's just complaining in the chat, we're going to know he's gonna out himself.
Right. And unsurprisingly, Kai's bringing in the mind break traps and the duress here.
He has the 4th grudge in the bring in pile, which I did not expect. I thought that'd be in the bring out pile. Looks like he's cutting Gitaxian probes, the Dak Fade-ins, is it the Soul Ring? And the Vampiric Tutor.
Yeah, I could definitely...
Soul Ring just seems bad in this deck. I'm not sure why he's playing it to begin with, honestly. I guess just for the Planeswalkers, but...
True, but it's not even that
like it here. Yeah, I wouldn't even be playing Soul Ring in this deck.
Yeah. Well, siding it out is a good way to fix that.
Agreed. Now I bring in a Steel Sabotage too instead of taking one out.
Huh. Maybe he's really just going after Bob's artifact mana. Or worried about defense grid. Yeah, Kai's got an interesting Oath list here. I mean, I know it's the one that very close to what Rich has been playing, but Kai certainly tweaked it for the field he expected. And it's not clear whether we're getting a Bob back yet or not. We're working on it. Well, I'm not working on it. Are you working on it, Tom?
I am not. Oh, but there I was.
Oh, never mind. We solved it.
That's quiet.
The power of me and Tom combined. We got Bob back.
And there's our Skype chat briefly.
Oh, we can't broadcast the Skype chat. There's so many vicious arguments there. There have been some good beats in the Skype chat. I'll just say that. So Bob has 30 seconds to sideboard here if he hasn't already done so.
Uh-oh. Okay, he hits me.
There we go. Alrighty, looks like we're into game 2 here.
Let's go, Bob. Let's go, Bob. It's not even that bad for me if Kai wins. Kai goes to 3-5, and Bob goes to 3-5, and when I lose, I'll also be 3-5.
So, I think Kai's plan of attacking Bob's mana does seem reasonable. He thinks that it's going to be his best chance, or one of his better chances is just to attack Bob's artifact mana, and so then he wants Steel Sabotage and Ancient Grudge to make it so Bob has trouble casting spells.
Yep. I like this plan. I mean, the Storm deck is pretty reliant on that artifact mana. That's why cards like Null Rod are so good in the matchup. And here you can see Bob with a pretty mediocre hand here.
This is a very, very mediocre 6. If you do Cabal Ritual or Dark Rituals on top, you'd keep it, but no, I think Bob has to go to 4 now.
Yeah, he's definitely going to 4. He can't keep this. If you knew your top 2 cards were Swamp, Dark Ritual, you could keep. Oh, man. Okay, well, congrats, Kai. Didn't earn it. You don't deserve this.
Ooh!
Snap.
Keep this and try to play a turn 2 Sadistic Sacrament.
Unfortunately, we can see Kai has it all.
Well, Kai's hand is just a very good disruptive hand. It even has the Orchard for when he draws the Oath.
Bob has to just say go on turn 1.
Yeah, this is just going to be rough for Bob. Like, Kai's probably going to misstep the Dark Ritual.
He'll duress the Dark Ritual, right?
Well,
he might. Duress the Sacrament and just leave. Yeah, it's true. When you have misstep, why take it?
There's a chance Kai doesn't even play Duress here. Like, he doesn't know how long it is going to be until he has a kill condition, and with Force of Will and Steel Sabotage and Misstep, it's possible he just wants to just pass.
True.
I don't think that's completely unreasonable. Just
no, he's going for it.
What can Bob do with 4 cards total on turn 2?
Say go.
Bob's drawn 17 Dark Petitions among his first 4 hands, so it's going to be difficult for him to win this.
I'm really rooting, though, for Kai just to activate this Orchard, give Bob a 1-1, and then to draw blanks for 20 turns.
You know, I just don't think that's going to happen. That's part of why Kai is not using Duress. I think Kai might use Duress now, because now he doesn't have to give Bob an Orchard token. Plus, Bob has enough cards that. What if Bob was like slow rolling a Mox Jet and just like had like land, Duress, Jet, Ritual, something like that?
Dark Petition number 18, good draw.
Yeah, Bob has got a lot of Dark Petitions.
He's very devoted to black right here. His Grey Merchant, if it counted your hand, would do a lot of damage.
Yes.
That'll be the mechanic when we return to Theros.
So I like that Bob's mulligan plus Scry led him to have a 6-card hand that would also be a mulligan.
Kai is blessed. What can you say?
Yeah. So if you're Kai, I guess you take like... I mean, Dark Ritual and Brainstorm are the only remotely castable cards, but you have 2 mental missteps. You could do something like take Sadistic Sacrament just so that if Kai does draw like... Or if Bob does draw like a Lotus, you don't have to... I guess you even have Steel Sabotage for Lotus. Like...
Yeah, you have it all.
Kai's taking Dark Petition, which kind of sets you up for the long game here. I mean... Yes, things look atrociously bad for Bob, but what if Bob top decks like 4 turns in a row and Kai bricks like 4 turns in a row? Bob could actually win.
Do you misstep this probe? I don't think so.
Yeah, not really. Your missteps are better than Bob's like random card.
Bob is slow playing, just saying go. X. Yeah. Alright.
I like casting probe now. Because you know you're going to have a follow-up. You don't know that Kai has double misstep, but... I mean, if Kai goes misstep this, misstep your Brainstorm, Force of Will, whatever you ritual into, Kai still just has a couple cards in hand versus your couple cards. Though Kai that is going to have draw steps in the intervening time, and draw steps are a lot better for Kai than for Bob, because Kai can, cast spells.
Oh, okay.
Not a great draw. You already kind of had that angle covered with Steel Sabotage. At least it now lets Kai pitch Steel Sabotage to Force of Will without feeling bad. Though the first Force of Will we see is definitely going to be hard cast.
Yeah, Kai has so much mana here.
Huh. End of turn Dark Ritual, so that means Kai's probably just going to snap off a misstep, yeah. Playing it end of turn was good, though, because that gives Bob an opening here.
Yeah, he's the probe again. Actually, see what he's up against.
This is pretty good. Bob could be clawing his way back into this somehow.
There are draws here. If Bob draws like... Oh, gosh. The problem for him is his mana is like so constrained because all the artifact mana is turned off.
Yeah, Bob doesn't have a lot of great draws, but imagine if Bob draws like Duress into Ancestral and Kai draws land.
Sure.
I mean, it sounds like something's starting there at least.
If Kai loses this game, I think he may be the unluckiest to play a game in the season. But I still can't see that happening. All right, we'll just run the Sacrificial Soul Ring here, I think.
I don't even know if you'd want to run it out. Kai's just going to grudge it. Like, you might... Because Soul Ring does generate mana the turn you play it.
So you use Ritual Sacrament, make him use a Forcible?
You could. That doesn't sound great. I think I would like to wait and try to cast my cards in the same turn so Kai can't just hard cast both forces. Well, Thoughtseize is good. If you Thoughtseize away a Dark Ritual, that does constrict Bob's options. Though Dark Ritual is not that good against Force of Will because you can just force whatever comes out. So maybe you just take Dark Petition here or take Sadistic Sacrament here. That actually seems pretty reasonable. Because Bob has a lot more mana in his deck to top deck into than he does business. If you take the mana and he top decks more, that's a lot worse than if you take business and he top decks mana.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, take Sacrament just to protect himself.
Volcanic here. Not super relevant. Bob still can't really cast Statistics, or a Dark Petition rather, without using Dark Ritual. So.
And he knows Kai's hand, right? So he knows that there's a.
He knows everything but that Mox. Kai's plan looking pretty good against Academy here. But this is turning into a normal game, though. Oh, never mind.
There we go. Game over. Sorry, Bob. Almost going to come back there. It's almost an epic return.
So now,
there we go.
Yeah, the fact that Kai can stop everything now means that Bob has to, again, hope Kai just has creatures on the bottom of his deck, and I guess Memory's Journey somehow got sided out. So if you're Bob, I mean, you know what you're up against. You know this doesn't turn out well for you.
Yeah, I don't see any line to try to salvage this at all.
You might, passing here and then trying to go off next turn, I guess. Hoping
Hope for the Gristlebrand and the whiff up against two Force Wills. I mean,
that's going to be pretty hard.
Even with a flying 1/1, I don't think he can pull this one out.
Yep.
You'd chump Gristlebrand for a turn, maybe?
Oh, there's Gristlebrand.
The father has arrived, and he is angry.
Kai could look... Yes, he's enraged even. Kai could look for a Time Walk here. Oh, there he goes.
Kai could accidentally activate Gristlebrand 2 more times.
He can only activate it once.
Can he gain... Yeah, he can't really gain 4 here. He's protected. So where do you look for the show hand button? Reveal hand to opponents?
Yeah. Kai's Ancient Grudge Oath here, about to lead him into the promised land of 3 and 5.
This week is not going well.
Yeah, VSL is a big swing, because, every night you've got your own match, which is obviously very high stakes. And then every other match, it kind of matters who wins. Like, you definitely care about the outcomes of the other matches. They impact you. And it's so brutal when you just, have a night where, 3 of the 5 matches don't go your way, including yours or something like that. It's just like, ugh.
Oh, I'm very aware. Having played every season from the bottom.
Yeah, I guess I have.
I'm at home where I am.
And again, we can make an agreement not to count season 3 because that wasn't a real season.
It's the only season where I won matches. I went 2-2. It's a great record for me.
Yeah, that is a great record.
I am on pace for my consistent 4-5. I have 4-5 every full season.
All right. And you're 3-4 now?
3-4. I'm right on verge of making it.
Well, if you 4-5 every season, then you have a slightly lower than 50% chance of winning each match. So you're close to on pace. You're about as on pace as it gets. I think.
Well, if you look at my lifetime records, I basically get lucky against Efro every season and beat him.
Right.
Despite having bad matchups. Like, I beat him when he was playing Dredge and I had no Dredge cards. Like 2 seasons ago or something. And then I lose to Rich every season. So I'm going to just... I think I'm right on chorus.
Yeah. Also, Kai has Memory's Journey. He was not in danger of decking unless he sided out Memory's Journey here. So people were panicking. Don't worry. he's still fine here. And here you definitely just countered a Dark Ritual, would be my assumption.
Maybe there's no reason not to.
I guess you have Mindbreak Trap, so maybe you can just counter a Storm Spell. That just means you have to counter a Thoughtseize, I guess.
Well, maybe looking for the right-click concede option here. It's there somewhere. If you look hard enough. There it is.
Oh. There we are.
All right,
so, Kai manages to defeat a not fully powered Bob Maher to advance to 3 and 5, or 3 and 4 there.
3 and 5.
3 and 5, right, sorry.
Both players advance to 3 and 5.
Everyone's just on different numbers of matches played somehow at this point, just because there's like multiple matches that are off kilter. But anyways, both players now 3 and 5, so puts them near the middle of the standings. Not still competitive for being on the bottom, but definitely not a lock by any stretch.
I mean, a very good chance of being tied for last at the end of the night.
Yeah.
We just need an Indian to defeat you, which I'm sure will happen, and then we'll have like a 7-way tie for last.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not completely out of the woods. Like, I'm in the spot where if I 2-0, I assume I'm in the playoffs. If I 1-1, I think I might be tied, depending on who else gets there. And if I 0-2, I might be tied for last. That's also on the table. So
You're 4 and 3 right now?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I mean, 4 or 5 definitely could be tied for last in some massive... Every season's been live to have like a 6-way tie for last.
And 5-4 can definitely be tied for top 4 depending on how the matches break down too.
Yep.
So I mean, I at least get an interesting sweat. Whereas like I've had seasons where the last trimester wasn't super relevant one way or the other. But
yeah, nice brags.
Well, I went 0-2 in season 3. It didn't
Sure.
take very long there either. So that'll do it for this round. We've got, let's see, who do we have next?
Me and Fro next.
All right, you're battling Fro, and I'm doing commentary with Webb. So we'll be back in a couple minutes as we get round 4 of the VSL going here.